Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Hands Across the Water. Quite a bit to talk about today. Rangers got a victory, but did it fill you with confidence, that victory? That'll be something we'll have to chat about today. But listen, a win's a win. We've also got things. Jim Gillespie, I think, started the day. We're watching the Rangers review this morning. They had brought that out, and young Finley Curtis getting his first ever Scotland call up, which is absolutely amazing at 19 years of age. Some will just say we wish he was in our squad, not at Kilmarnock, a few miles down the road. But we'll get through it all. Quite a lot to talk about. Paddy's Day as well tomorrow. I didn't even know it was St. Paddy's Day until somebody told me today, and I was like, "Oh, I'm off tomorrow." So we quickly talked to Marcus, and we're going to have an Irish special on tomorrow and talk about Northern Ireland Bears and ex-Northern Ireland Rangers players and stuff. Bit of a special 11 a.m. in the morning, so I'll tell you more about that later. But before we get into all that stuff, we'll start with saying hello to our amazing guests, our two Hands Across the Water teammates, Baz and Marcus. Baz, yourself first. How are you keeping, mate?
Yes, all good. Always nice on a Monday when you've collected 3 points from the famous Teddy Bears at the weekend. So, regardless of performance, and we'll talk about that, 3 points will do me this weekend and back onto the winning trail. So, yeah, today I'm feeling pretty good.
That's good, mate. That's good. And as I say, we've talked to Marcus recently, mate. Before we introduce yourself, about us and getting these wins, and no matter how they come, just win, just win. So it's hard to be too critical, I suppose, when you just about get the win as long as you get the 3 points. That's the most important thing, mate. But before we get into all of it, how are you keeping, Marcus?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Nice weekend again. Good 3 points. So that starts the week off well. So I hope you're well, and good evening to you and Baz and all the viewers and listeners. And looking forward to the podcast tonight.
Yeah, it's far better when we're talking about a victory. I'll be honest, I was sort of flat after the getting the win was great, but I was a wee bit flat after it, and I was thinking about it today, and I was like, right, wait, William, if you looking back at podcasts I'd done a few months ago and stuff, it was just like, we're watching that Celtic team, and when they're not playing well, they always get those points. We never do that. And Hearts have had a lot of 1-0 wins recently, albeit they lost at the weekend, which was great for us. We'll talk about that. And I was thinking, maybe I'm just being too harsh. Maybe it was just a windy, crappy old day. St. Mirren, we're never really great there anyway. We know that. Likes a big Gogic and all, he always makes it a battle, Baz. And maybe it's just about, we got the points. That's just, be happy that we got the points rather than being too critical on the actual performance. But we'll have our gripes and we'll say about that today, mate. But I think it's all about getting the points, isn't it, first and foremost?
At this point in the season, 3 points every game is a must. Regardless of how we play, and when we want to see the team playing better, we want to see them score more goals, etc. But the reality is, and as Danny Roll alluded to after last weekend, it's 9 cup finals, and one of them we've successfully batted out of the road. It's a 1-0 win. It wasn't a superb performance, but at the end of the day, 3 points is what we wanted and is what we got. So one's ticked off the list, and we move on to the other 8, and that's all really. When you look at the performance yesterday, it was tiresome. It was hard to watch, but I've seen teams playing fantastic with 72% possession and not winning games. St. Mirren's a tough out place to go. And you talk about Gogic is like a warrior. I mean, the man that finished the game with a split head open. That's what he gives to his team. And we came through with 3 points. So ultimately, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm looking at this. Gregor basically puts in here. Let me see. I think it's a bit like this, Marcus, isn't it? 3 points is all that matters. But geez, if that's us playing for a cup final, a better team will tear us apart. And I get where he's come from as well, and I think we're all feeling like that. But it's a catch-22 of if you're looking at if you want to give the team a bit of slack, I suppose, with the conditions and stuff as well. And as Baz said there about we know what Gogic offers and how he keeps the game, but and tries to get stuck in. That's what he loves to do, mate, and make it hard for us. But would you give the team a bit of leeway that way, Marcus, or were you hoping for better yesterday?
I think Gregor's right. I think looking forward to the remaining 8 games, we've clearly got to play better, particularly against the perceived better opposition. I think yesterday I wasn't at all surprised by it at all. I think the good things yesterday were it was the first clean sheet for 6 games. Got a really poor record against them, haven't won since April 2024. Always a difficult game. Conditions were quite difficult, and yet even at 1-0, unlike some of the other games, I was actually fairly comfortable with it. So mixed feelings really. Not a great watch, not a great game, but I thought, you know what, that's broken the mould in which we've drawn the previous 3 games, and we've actually broken that and can move forward. So we've got a full week now, and I'm confident that looking forward we can play a lot better. And I think it's broken the mould because obviously it was very disappointing last week, the result with the cup quarter final. That's gone now, and then hopefully we can move forward.
Just quickly here, I don't want. I wanted this not to be discussed today, but unfortunately, the comments are in, so we're going to have to. So yes, Linfield got lucky yesterday and beat my old Glentoran. Baz is absolutely delighted with that one. Myself, not so much. So yes, so anyone, I hope you've enjoyed your cup final. If so, you just have to be. I'm just a crap loser, I suppose, but that's just the way it is. But Baz, congratulations to you on this one, mate. And
Thank you very much.
That one. Anyway, the weather yesterday. No, right enough. It was a good old final, Marcus. Even Marcus, you watched it, mate. We'll talk about it quickly. Suppose we'll have to because it's been brought up now before we get to it. But Marcus, you watched it as well, buddy, didn't you? You thought it was a decent, maybe not great football, but we hadn't watched great football the 2 hours before either. But it was a good spectacle, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought you could sense the atmosphere was good, and I thought Sky covered it really well. I thought it made it a really good event, and you could clearly see the passion. And I think sometimes when we look at football at the highest level, I'm not necessarily saying in Britain, abroad, you look at it, it's glitzy, glamorous, but I thought it was a decent game of football. And when you realise the passion between the two crowds from the same city, I think that is essentially what football's about. And I thought it was terrific.
Yep. And Baz, you, I suppose you have your say here quickly as well.
Up the Blues, up the Linfield. Yes, I am very happy with that one yesterday. I tell you, there was some messages flying about last night. William was subjected to a few of them. So yes, I'm happy with the Blues. But what it shows is, William, we talk about. I'm trying to revert this into the Rangers thing about not playing well, but getting the results and lifting a trophy. And the Blues don't actually always play really good football, but they know how to win and they know how to lift trophies. And that's what I'm hoping is in the ethos of Rangers in the next 8 games. And that's why I mentioned that. Sometimes you don't always play well, but you can still get the result. And that's what I'm hanging on to with Rangers and what Linfield done yesterday. It's 2 massive clubs, have won trophies for, since the end of time. And I'm hoping Rangers can implement that same winning mentality as what the old Super Linfield did yesterday. So, yeah. I'm happy.
Yeah. No,
I think you're going to milk that, aren't you, Baz, for the rest of the season?
Yes.
I'll tell you one thing, and I say as the Baz, and Baz, I don't know if you remember this. We were talking about it quickly before we left. We obviously watched Rangers together, and then we split up home to go and watch the cup final. And I said to Baz, before kickoff, here's me, the Glens will be all over them, here's me, but Linfield will probably win because Linfield know how to win. They've got that winning mentality. Rangers, Glentoran are a bit like a Rangers situation at the minute. That used to be as big too, same as Rangers Celtic, obviously, but Rangers and the Glens haven't been winning, on the regular for quite some time, quite a few decades. Well, it's over a decade now. And Linfield have that winning mentality, and unfortunately, the Glens just don't have that yet, and a bit like Rangers, but that's what we're hoping. Hopefully, Rangers can get that mentality back.
And just on that note, don't forget a big ups to David Haley, former Rangers striker, as well, for leading them to that victory. That's also another wee thing I'll throw in there as well. So
correct, and as I say, David Haley, and to be fair, I was listening to him yesterday, and he was talking about the Glentoran manager about them being mates and all. So he's a class act. See, to be fair, David Haley's a class act when Linfield lose, and he's a class act when they win. He never rubs it in too much, and he never takes too much anger if it goes the other way. He's a class act that way, and Just wish we had David Healy for a bit longer at Rangers, to be honest, but we got him sort of towards the end. But anyway, so that's that over with. We'll let Baz have that one. We'll see what happens in the season. There's still a league to play for. But yes, so talking about the game, we'll get into it, guys. So Marcus, you have, as I say, a few things here for us. You're going to put up. We're going to chat about them straight after we chat about the game. There's not much to chat about the game, so we'll be getting on these stats pretty quick. So obviously, Tur Romans got his goal. There wasn't really much happened, Marcus, before that. Tur Romans, it was a lovely finish. He was in the right position. Nice ball from Nico Rasson. And then you're sort of hoping that you kick on from there, and it just wasn't to be for Rangers. Mikey Moore again seemed to be the only one, the real, every time he got on the ball, he was really trying to do stuff. Now, I know his final ball was poor. He hangs onto the ball sometimes, and he does make mistakes, Marcus, but he's only 18, and he's the only one starting up at times, so I don't like to give him too much criticism there. Gassama, unfortunately, we all asked for this last week. Remember, we were talking to Derek last Monday. We all begged, please don't play Gassama ever again on the right. Unfortunately, that's where he started. We knew what we were going to get from him, Marcus, and unfortunately, it was the same old. So, as I say, there's not much to talk about the game. I thought defensively we played well. Giga, for me, and Fernandez will definitely be the partnership going forward, in my opinion, for the rest of the season, as long as they're fit, because I definitely think we seem a bit stronger there. But what I liked about it, Marcus, even though we didn't create much, and we're going to get into negatives, but the positives was, it wasn't as if we were hanging out like we've done before in away games, where you're sitting there and you're going, these are going to sucker punch us here. Rangers really kept St. Mirren at bay, and it didn't give them much. We controlled the game quite well.
Yeah, I think there are only the three changes. I could see the logic in bringing Tavernier. I think right back, if you're playing against the likes of Hearts, Celtic, Motherwell, for instance, I always put a tariff that the attacking side is probably 25% and the defending side is 75%. And that's why I think Sterling was so successful in those games, by negating the threats. I think it was obvious in yesterday's game that the Rangers would have more possession. And I think that's where Tavernier was right to pick him to deliver crosses from the right, particularly with the fact Olsen simply not being picked for lack of form. So I think that was a correct decision. I think, as you say, I hold my hands up here. I would have preferred to have put Sterling into midfield, into centre of defence. But De Giga and Fernandez have been fantastic, and then Tia Romans. So it's
I
really
wish we had Ferdinand in there, Marcus.
Sorry?
I said I wish we had Ferdinand in there. Praying Ferdinand.
Yeah, I know. Slip of the tongue there. And Fernandez, yeah. And no, so I think the back four is really solid, which is really good. Diamande was injured, so I don't think that was a particular weakness, because I think Chukwan has been a really good player. But again, the puzzle is Gassama, and I'm just trying to think why. You can argue why he's in the team, but why he's on the right. And then am I overthinking it? Is it because Antman isn't yet back to fitness? Bajrami wasn't even in the squad, and yet he was given quite a pivotal opportunity to turn the game around against Celtic. I don't think he was injured, so maybe he's not trusted. We've spoken about Olsen. Is he being put there almost as a utility wing back, even though he's not particularly good on the right? I'm just trying to think of reasons why. But again, however you flower it up, it just didn't work. And I was talking to Baz off air that when Olsen did come on, I thought, well, look, here's a real opportunity now for him to gain some confidence and see what he can do. But there wasn't any particular uplift. So I think the long and the short of it is, every time we look at the stats, and I know you've got to look within stats, unlike the previous start of the season, we're actually creating more chances and shots, but we're not particularly putting them away. And we'll come to a graph looking at scorers, etc., later. But that's clearly an area that we've just got to improve when the opposition becomes sterner. So yeah, it's and we're playing two up front as well, so it's a bit of a puzzle.
And Marcus makes a good point there, Baz. Maybe not about, as I say, we're going to look at the graph and the goal scores. But the likes of, well, do you know what? We'll just bring it up now. Well, it's a good time to do it while we're talking about that. We'll just bring it up. There's our goal scorers, Baz, for the season so far. Now we're looking for Trimity. There was a chance, or someone made in the comments. I'll try and look up for it, Baz, while you're asking, or while you're answering, mate. There was a point there where Trimity, like, it was right, he was 4 yards out. And any Rangers striker, and I'm talking about your Pershos, your Novos, like I'm not even talking about your McCoys, I'm talking about even ones of that, your Pershos Novos obviously weren't that sort of standard, but they were still good Rangers strikers, definitely. Them boys are busting their life to get into there, and he seems very more lax, he didn't even have his position right. His body seemed more to the side, rather if he had a position his body the right way, Baz, and had that goal scoring instinct, it'd have been in the net, like. And we can see here, Trimity has their 9 goals, Baz. I know a few of them have been against Celtic and obviously the Hearts game. So a lot of them have been in maybe 3 to 4 matches. Tavernier still, who we say we need to move on from, sitting with 7. Moore and Fernandez with 5. Asgard, Miowski, 2 players. Asgard and Miowski are 2 players that the manager doesn't trust, never gets on the game. They're playing with 4. Raskin has the same amount as Danilo. Danilo's been away for a while now. Gassama with 2. And then 9 other players have 1 each, and it's definitely an issue for us, Baz.
But when you look at them sort of stats, with them goals, I mean, it's not really title-winning goal scoring form from your team. That's half the problem, and it's actually, when you look at them stats, actually quite incredible. We are where we are in the league, and we're still in with a good chance of winning the title. So that's quite incredible. Chermity's goals. Considering considering he hadn't scored for 2 years, 9 goals isn't a bad return, to be fair, on a player like that. People would argue the price tag might not match that. Tavernier, like, for a right back to get 7 goals, that's actually still very high. And to be fair, Tavernier is getting rotated now, so he's not playing as many games. Moore, for an 18-year-old on loan, who basically, when I watch Rangers at the minute, it looks like everything's put on the Moore and everything's expected for Moore to create all the time now, and I think it's far too much pressure on the lad, and that brings me down to Gassama, because Gassama should be taking the pressure off Moore when he plays, and he doesn't. Gassama, to me, should not be starting any more games. I think that's been tried, it's been tested, and it's failing. He's not providing what we need. Now, you could argue that Gassama playing on the right-hand side, that's not his game. He should be playing on the left. But I just see Gassama in terms of his enthusiasm and his desire to actually make forward runs on the right, and he doesn't even try to do it. He just looks like he's lost out there. I just wanted to slightly touch on the Barami thing. I actually think if Barami had played more games, you'd actually maybe see Barami with maybe on that chart. I don't understand the Barami thing, or Bajrami. I don't get it. I think when you look at yesterday and you look at Gassama, if I was Bajrami and I looked at Gassama yesterday, I'd be thinking, what do I have to do to get the chance? Because, Gassama's been tried, it doesn't work. Bajrami, when he's came on, certainly in the last few games, he has given enthusiasm, he has given desire, he has been trying to put shots on goal, he's taken men on. And then when you look at the St. Mirren game, he doesn't even get onto the bench. And I think for me, I think that's a slight mistake from the manager. I certainly would have had him on the bench to at least come on yesterday on the right-hand side, because Olsen's not doing it either. And Bajrami, for me, at the minute, out of the 3, that's who I'd have starting.
Well, I agree with Baz there too. Bajrami as well. Marcus, you made a comment there, mate, that he was brought on against them, to try and change the game, and then he doesn't even get into the squad for the next game. They understand the likes of Connor Barron and stuff were added in, I get all that, but players like Barami and stuff must be looking on that right-hand side and going, geez, if that guy there can get on that pitch, he doesn't look interested at times, or I don't know if it's confidence or what it is, but people can talk about confidence quite a lot, and I get that, but they're getting paid, Marcus, a hell of a lot of money. You're talking thousands of pounds here, and the sad part is we know what we're going to get from Gassama on the right. Now, people say on the page yesterday, a lot of people were even saying the crap on the left too. Because people were just done with him. I think he offers a bit more on the left, but definitely on the right. He just doesn't have enough. And as Baz says, if you're Barami or these players, you'd be knocking that door down, going, here, I mean, I need to get a move quickly here because if you think I can't offer any more than what he's offering out there, what's the point of me being here?
I don't think Bajram is the solution looking forward long term, but I think he's got something about him, and I think he's better than virtually every other option we've got. And as I said, he was
Yeah.
given the responsibility to try and turn the game around the week before, and so it seems strange. So no, it doesn't really work. I think I'd like to pick up the point Richard made a good point about Nadiri. He seems to be coming in for a little bit of stick here and there because he's not scoring. But I watched him quite closely yesterday, and the work rate the guy does is completely and utterly selfless. And he seems to be, well, dropping behind Chimiti and almost acting partly as a number 10. So I think his work rate there, and I just don't think that he's ever put in a position in which he can have the opportunity to score. So yes, he's not scoring, but I'm equally not sure, despite the fact we're labelling it, we've got two up top. I'm not sure that he's really been given the opportunity. It'd be quite interesting to swap them round and see if that makes a difference, because I generally think Nadiri could be quite potent if he's given the opportunity.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, Mark. I'll tell you another thing. A lot of people saying, they're too alike, they're too similar. And I'm looking at them and I'm going, right, yeah, they're quite tall. You know what I mean? They're quite gangly with it that way. Yeah, they look, similar build. Nadiri offers you nothing like what Nadiri does, or Chimiti offers you nothing like Nadiri does off the ball. His running and all is crazy. His closing down. For me, there's a lot of differences in them, but I would love to see Nadiri get, because I know a lot of people are going, he's our striker. He's not scoring any goals. Baz, for me, how's he going to score goals to the positions he's playing? Anyway, he seems to be doing all the hard work, all the hard yards. To try, basically his game is to try and be a part of the press, try and take balls away, try and make things work for like the Trinity to take his chances. But for me, a bit like what Marcus says, or even if we were to talk, maybe trying to change the formation again and go with a two wide, but have Nadiri playing up of his own with maybe a Mikey Moore in the number 10 role or something to give Nadiri a chance up, or might be something a wee bit different. I don't know what you think, Buzz.
Yeah, Nadiri, for me, there's definitely potential there. And what we've got to be very mindful is, I mean, this guy came from a very, people say it's a good standard where he came from, but it's still a lower level league. He's came in with a pretty hefty price tag considering where he's came from. He's been put into the cauldron in a championship title race, which he's not used to doing at that level. And he's had no pre-season. He's just been through in, and I actually think he's done very well. Now, his goal ratio, the reason why he's not scoring goals is pretty obvious, is the fact that you have both alluded to. He's doing all the donkey work. He's doing the work that you don't get any credit for. And unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. When you're a striker, everybody just wants to know if you've notched a goal in the net or made an assist. But when you're tirelessly chasing balls down and tirelessly trying to retrieve balls, then you're not going to be in the box and this is my point when we're talking about Gassama. If he's doing that extra shift and that extra bit of enthusiasm to win balls and get down the wing and put balls into the box, then you'll see Nadiri at his best. You'll see him, rather than going to have to look for the ball, the wingers should be looking for him. Is he in the box? Can I get that ball over? Tell him, can I make something happen for him? And Shermity, by the way, it's not happening. It's a severe problem on that right-hand side of the pitch. It's really, really bad because Nadiri is falling foul of other players not doing what they should be doing. I like Nadiri. I think there's my only problem with Nadiri is, William, when I looked at him yesterday, it looks like we're running the guy into the ground. He looks exhausted after so many minutes because he literally is doing so much work and he's trying to do his best to get things going. And other players in that team need to step up. And they need to put that extra 10 or 15% in matches so that Nadiri doesn't always have to do it on his own. And what I'm definitely hoping in, William, is that the fact that Connor Barron's back in that midfield and he can get starting, I think that donkey work that he does that Raskin and Chukwueze don't do, just like Barron, that he'll be able to in around the midfield and press and hard and let Nadiri actually get into his proper position, which is up front. But there is a serious problem, William, on the wings and how we deliver the balls to our strikers. It's not happening. We're trying this through balls, or Naderi's trying to collect, he's trying to find Chermiti, and we're too far behind the 18-yard box. We're not close enough. We're not able to shoot on goal because we're too far back. So other players need to give Naderi that support and make better play to assist him, and at least give him the opportunity to get shots on goal.
William,
Yeah.
can I just mention something there, that the graph, I think, irrespective of the personnel, for a Rangers player or Rangers not to have a striker in double figures after 30 games is just unbelievable. And I think that just sort of underpins the problem. Just going on from what Baz said with regard to Barron, I thought he did pretty well yesterday. Obviously, he's got to get his fitness up, but I think we've got some decent midfielders. Some of them are good players, some of them are good players not on form. But I do think he at least acts as a bit of a point of difference, if you like. He's not the same as the rest of them. His style, his determination, his getting stuck in, if you like. And he might be not as talented in some ways, but I just think there might be a point of difference looking forward that could hopefully unlock a bit of movement up front.
Yeah, I tell you, like, I love Connor Barron, like, and I was so good. I'll tell you, if you look at Rangers' form, I was looking at a graph, and I don't have it here at the minute, but it was showing you from when Barron left, Barron went out with the injury, and Rangers' form has collapsed since then, guys. It's as simple as that, and it's a fact. Because the work he does, and again, I think it's what Barry's saying, Marcus. And I've said it too many a times. It's just what Marcus said, and like others keep saying, he maybe doesn't have the quality that the others have. But for me, it's a bit like what Baz is saying there. It's a bit like the Naderi situation. He's doing those hard yards that you'd never get credit for very rarely. Sometimes you do. It depends what sort of game it is. But in the main, those, closing down and busting your gut. And sometimes people think, he's not doing much, but he's doing so much. He's creating madness in the midfield, not letting anyone, of the opposition to be comfortable. And I thought when he came on yesterday, Baz, when Connor Barron came on, what we missed against Celtic as well, Barry, was someone just to take the ball in front of the defenders, but not hoofing it like a lunatic up the pitch, not passing it back to our goalkeeper, who then hoofs it like a lunatic up the pitch. We actually had Connor Barron. If anyone watches that game back, watch those last 16 minutes or whatever that Connor Barron was on that pitch. Honestly, guys, watch it back. All he done was took the ball and looked, where can I spread this? How can I keep this ball moving, but keep it under control, keep Rangers playing and not in control of the ball? And he spread it to here, spread it there, the other blue shirts, and then opened his body, made a run somewhere else to make space. So we always had control of the ball and tried to get us up the pitch. And I think we've hugely lacked that, Buzz.
He's the closest thing we've had since Ryan Jack. We haven't had a players like Ryan Jack. That type of player who doesn't get all the the accolades, he doesn't get, he's the star guy, your team and all. But in actual fact, William, when you look at the last number of games, especially the Old Firm games and stuff, and especially the second half at Ibrox in the league game, that's when you needed a Connor Barron, because our midfield completely collapsed that day. And Connor Barron would have been the right guy just to bring on and to settle that midfield, but he wasn't available. And it just shows you, by missing a player like that, how we can fall off the rails slightly. If Connor Barron reminds me, William, of that calmness of a Steve Davis, a Barry Ferguson. They don't get overwhelmed with the ball. They have composure. They take their time and they find the right pass. We'll see it with Raskin. We'll see it with Diamande. Rash passes just to get rid of the ball. They don't find their man. They don't have that composure just to slow the game down and make the right pass. Connor Barron gives you that. It's that simple, just that simple ball till your number 8, till your wide man. Just a nice simple ball, just to calm the whole nerves down and to calm the pitch down. And I think, especially now, we'll talk more about the 8 games that are left. But the fact that Connor Barron is back and that Connor Barron is available is going to be a huge plus for us in these games, especially away games. They're going to be tough away games coming up. I think Connor Barron, the timing couldn't be any better for Connor Barron to be available again.
Yeah. And as I said to Baz yesterday, even said, Marcus, what we were doing was, so Baz is a massive Raskin fan, and he has been for same as myself, because we wanted him captain. If you go back to our early episodes at the start of the season when we're getting excited about who we were buying, who could we buy, me and Barry both wanted Raskin as our captain. But I was saying to Baz, just watched him in the last few games, and Baz, just watch what he does here with the ball at times in this game, and the amount of times like Raskin just passes it, to the opposition in stupid situations, and you're just thinking they're going, and it doesn't kill you 9 times out of 10, lucky enough. Sometimes we have someone there who can actually retrieve the ball again and you get going. But it happened quite a few times, and I was just glad to see when Barron came on, we had someone who could just not do that as often, if you know what I'm saying. I don't want to make us a whole big Rossins this. There's loads of players that weren't good enough yesterday, and there's loads of players that haven't been good enough for quite a while. It was the last few games, we understand that. But I'm just saying, because we know what Raskin gives, and me and Baz are saying this from a point of view is like we are Raskin fans, we know what he can offer. And I don't know what the crack is there, Marcus. Is it a confidence thing again, or?
I think he's had a strange season. Before I worked with you guys on the podcast, I was very similar. I thought he was quite rightly Player of the Year, should have been Rangers captain and this season, but clearly there were problems at the start with him and Russell Martin then being left out, so he might have lost some fitness, might have lost some confidence. Hopefully that would have been bolstered with his intervention with the Belgium team. I think it's possibly the formation. I did notice yesterday, I thought he was playing further upfield. I don't know what you guys thought. I thought he was. And if Chukmani can, in effect, take the nearest equivalent to a number 6, then that might prevent him, again, victim of his own success, showing determination, trying to run 30, 40 metres back to get the ball to go up again. It's just not sustainable. And I just felt there were times yesterday when he seemed to be playing a bit further. And then that was exemplified, a wonderful cross for Roman's goal. Maybe if he is a little bit more settled, playing slightly further up, and then, as I say, with somebody like Connor Barron coming in, taking the pressure off, maybe we'll start to see the best of him, because he's not suddenly a bad player, but I think it's a combination. Maybe that there is when I say lack of confidence, sometimes players actually try too hard, and I think that's sometimes been the case when he's tried to get hold of the ball. It's just not sustainable, the meters that he's running. But let's hope that if there's Chukwani, Connor Barron featuring and improving, that might well, hopefully, elevate Raskin into the player that we know he is.
Yeah, I said I hope I'm not putting too much pressure on Connor Barron as well. By saying how everything will change now that he's there. But I'm just looking at that. Our purple patch of form. He was in that squad. He was really starting to get in there and playing every week. You knew that it was. We were even coming on here, Baz, at times going, "Here, see your man Connor, who wasn't getting a chance earlier on, and then he got his. The Rangers were winning. Remember even I think it was 3 points, job done, clean sheet. Remember that whole mode when we were going, Rangers are going here, and it was young Barron that was doing all the crosses from when our corners were always going in. And we're playing amazing in the midfield, and then, as I say, he left, and then it just seemed to be the whole everything sort of is broken away from there. That the whole midfield situation.
Well, when Connor Barron got injured, there was an obvious decline in the midfield, and it's not saying that Raskin's not a good player or saying that Chukwani's not a good player, but certain players suit certain positions to certain, they have different roles within that midfield setup. Nico Raskin and Marcus is when Marcus was talking, I was thinking about, is Raskin trying too hard? I actually think that is the case. I think he's personally driven. Like, Raskin wants this title as much as the fans. I honestly believe that. And I do think that Raskin overplays his hand too many times in the fact of he's trying to press too quickly and too hard, and he doesn't have that calmness of Barron, where Barron will just strip the game back very quickly. And that's not a criticism of Raskin. It's just, I think his desire overrides his brain sometimes, and his footwork, his body can't respond as quickly to what his desire wants. And Raskin just needs to sometimes simplify things and just slightly play like Barron and just completely compose himself slightly better. And that's all it is with Raskin. It's got nothing to do with quality. You seen that ball into the box, William, for Romans? It was a fantastic ball. It was the best pass he's had all season. It was absolutely sublime. Fantastic piece of play. And ultimately, it was the assist that won us the game and got the 3 points. And that's a big thing. An assist is a big thing for Raskin, considering the pressure he's been under in recent weeks. Some of the fans don't want him on. Some of the fans want him dropped. And there's moments to get where you're saying, hang on a minute, that's the builds in international I see. That's the quality he actually has at times. And it's very hard to put a player like that on the bench. It's very, very difficult.
Yeah. Well, that's, as Marcus says, maybe we'll talk about like Aberdeen coming up. Maybe if Connor Barron starts now, if he can start and maybe play that deeper role, and likes of Chukwani as well, when he can play, maybe that gives Raskin a chance to do, as what you've said, you'll be that more of the creator. Just quickly before we move on, guys, a very important one here. Blue Mac is a member of our YouTube and a very important member. He's always on the show and supporting us. Good evening, William, Baz and Marcus. Listen to the show before I get my CT scan results in an hour. Well, I'll say from myself, Baz and Marcus, we're all thinking about you, mate. We're all hoping you get good results, mate. And we hope everything goes well for you, buddy. And thank you for tuning in, mate. And as I say, all love to you, and I hope you have the results that you want, buddy. We're all thinking about you.
Can I just jump in, William? Yes, Blue Mac, 100%, mate, and we're all behind you. There was a couple of comments before about our Hands Across the Water headquarters. So I don't want to take any credit for this place because it's actually my father's done all this. So we'll give him a shout out, William. He has spent I don't know years trying to get this thing sorted. So he's put all the work in. I have the lights and all turned on for me when I come down, so all I have to do is sit here and talk. But yes, all credit goes to our father on the Hands Across the Water setup, and it is a lot bigger right round this room. It's not just this wee part. There's a hell of a lot of work right round, So I just wanted to throw that over, William, because there was a couple of comments about it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'll do is during the week, or maybe when are we next down for the Aberdeen game. So what I'll do is, Baz, I'll do a wee video of the setup. Me and you'll do a wee video of the Aberdeen before the Aberdeen game. Just a wee, we'll do a members only one just for like a 5-10 minutes. Let everyone see the actual shed because it's quite a class job. As Baz says, Dad done a great job with it. So he has. He's always worked. Every time I ring him, Mum answers the phone. He's out in the shed doing something else, hammering at something, painting something. So all credit to you, Dad, for doing that, and thanks for watching as always, mate. Yeah. So we'll move on to before we leave this game totally, guys, because what do you think about this here? I'm just going to quickly show you this, the penalty decision. For me, that was a penalty. I'm just looking at the difference between the Sterling incident here, where we obviously got a penalty given against us last weekend, and then this weekend where Goggett's arm wasn't by his side. You can see it was clearly out a wee bit. For me, it's still harsh, but if you're going to give one, you have to give the other. Marcus, what was your thoughts on the penalty situation, mate? Or do you think if the hands are that close by the side, you don't get them?
I think it's harsh, but not just Rangers games. I've seen them given, and this is where the inconsistency comes in, and that's what's just so frustrating. It tends to be made up a game at a time, and there is a level of inconsistency. So that could easily conceivably be in a penalty yesterday. I don't think there would have been that much controversy whatsoever.
And Baz, yourself on that one, mate?
I'll be totally honest with it too. Is I've just give up on the refereeing now and the VAR. It's pretty obvious that things aren't for us. They're definitely more against us. And that's not being a better Rangers fan and thinking, oh, let's cry tears over all these decisions. The facts are what the facts are. They get away with absolute lunacy decisions all the time. Even their game at the weekend with Maeda elbowing your man in the head and all, they just get away with everything. We don't. We're going to have to do it the hard way that if we want to win the title and score goals and score as many as we can and not concede. That's all we can do with him. I've given up on Willie Collum, who's a lunatic. I've given up on the VAR. It's the same refereeing, the same officials. We all know them, William. Every week we have the same conversation. Who's refereeing the Rangers game today? Oh, we'll know what he's going to do today. Who's on VAR? It's the same nonsense. I've just given up on it. There's 8 games to go now. And I'm not even getting involved with all this crap because we're not going to get what we want out of it We never ever do. So as I said to you, and I'll repeat myself again, win, score as many goals as you can, and stick it up till them at the end of the season.
Just quickly, Rangers fan, are you two brothers? Yes, we are indeed, but he's the older one. Just so it's let you all know that. But no, I agree with you. You can go down this rabbit hole, and we know the score, guys, and we know what's happening there. And I'll tell you who else is going to find out very quickly. If you watch Hearts had a clear penalty not given to them. Motherwell, with a team that was playing Celtic, that didn't get those decisions. Your man, what do you call him, the Ox or whatever, he should have been sent off in the first couple of minutes. Then he done another one that should have been a second yellow. Didn't happen. Maeda elbows, looks at the Motherwell player and elbows him. Nothing happens. Then a clear push like that to their player just before they conceded the penalty, and they didn't get that either. And this is what Motherwell and Hearts are going to have to learn. I'm going to have to learn it quick. See, now you're anywhere near the top. Now you see. You won't get these decisions that you'll maybe get against Dundee when you're sitting middle table and it's normal decisions to get given. When you're up there and you have a chance of maybe doing something against a certain team, you won't get them. So maybe we'll have the likes of Hearts and instead of Rangers all the time being the only ones calling this out, maybe a few other clubs now they're in the mix and they're in a chance of getting into Europe or a chance of winning the league titles when they're not getting these decisions, and they'll maybe go, well, how come there's 4 teams in this top 4 and there's only one team seeking to be benefiting from every dubious decision. You look at that offside goal, that Timu lines that the SFA drew, like that. If anyone see the gap between Mikey Burr and Asgard, like it was nowhere even. Like I thought it was onside. Now say it was maybe just a wee bit off. The line. Well, how big are those lines, boss? Or Marcus, any of you want to make up or go on those comments?
They're as thick and as narrow as you want them to be.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that, man.
Look, the reality is the SFA do not want Rangers winning the title, and by going by decisions of the weekend, it's pretty clear they don't want Hearts to win it either. It points in one direction. This is not a conspiracy theorist. This is constant. This is week after week after week after week. But go back to the Butland incident when he get kicked in the head. These aren't soft decisions. These were serious decisions that went against us. That's the facts. We're not feeling sorry for ourselves. It's not about that. It's about wanting fair and transparency on officiating. We don't get it. We just do not get it. And that's why I've said to you, there's 8 games. I'm not even. I don't care who's refereeing us anymore. What's the point? Who cares who's in VAR? We're not going to get what we want. We can't rely on penalty decisions. We can't rely on these things. We've got to do the business with the ball and get these players motivated and get them to win games in the correct manner. That's all we can do now.
Just say, William, decisions are obviously going to go for and against, and that's part of the game. But when Rangers have had 18 goals disallowed, Hearts 9 and Celtic 6, then there is an imbalance there. People say things average out. Well, all I can say is that hopefully the remaining 8 games, then suddenly, miraculously, all the decisions go our way.
I agree. Well, just quick, because we haven't got much time. This show's flying. But I don't want to talk too much about Jim Gillespie. I hope he does well. We'll bring that up again if we're on again tomorrow. Marcus will talk more about Jim and stuff. But he is going to be important because we need someone in there who is going to have to look into this stuff and always be putting the pressure on them and making sure that people know that if you don't get these decisions, and you don't expect to get all the decisions, but when law of averages, and it seems to be every season, the law of averages never work in our favour, and that's something that he's looked at. So hopefully Jim Gillespie, when he comes in, can help us out with that, but we'll chat about him tomorrow. I want to get into this because this is going to take us to the last 15 minutes definitely anyway. The form guide. So we'll pick your brains on this, Marcus. Obviously, you made this wee form guide up for us, buddy, and a point of discussion. So you want to speak us through what your mind was thinking about this, putting this together?
Yeah, so Danny Rolls has been in charge of 22 games since he took over in October, and 11 clean sheets. So what I thought I'd do is it'd be pretty convenient with 8 games left where we are. So the first 8 games, you can see up at the top there, won 1-6, drew 2. Then the 9th to the 16th game, that was the only loss that he suffered was to Hearts. Again, pretty good return. As you know, we've only lost 2 all season. And I appreciate there's a couple of overlap to make the 22. But as you can see, the last has been the poorest by a long way with the draws. Hopefully, we've addressed that with the win away yesterday. So the question is, with the remaining 8 games, my opinion is I think we need to win at least 7 and probably draw the 8th. And again, of course, it's a crystal ball. You don't know how results go, but as we saw last weekend, or that the results can come through. So that'd be 22 out of 24. So we're going to have to exceed any of those previous 3 sections without doubt if we've got a chance to win. So we've got to quite clearly put in a much better performance. As Richard said earlier, I think it was Richard earlier about the performance. But I just thought I'd throw it open. I'm not being negative. I'm not saying it's not possible. But in crude terms, the remaining 8 games, we're probably going to have to show form that we haven't done yet. And I'll just be interested for your opinion, and obviously all our viewers and listeners as well.
Well, it's interesting, Baz. We're sort of looking at that, and you're going, well, you've got if you can get your 1-8 there, you're 6. And for me, and I know what Marcus is saying, Marcus is right there, and thinking we need to win all the rest, and we want to win all the rest of these games. But I'll say this too: I think the other teams who are for me, I've thought the team's a poor team as well, if I'm being totally honest with you. And that Motherwell team has to play them again and play Hearts twice, and then Celtic have to play Hearts. So no team in the top 4 can possibly win all their games. I think, I mean, like, well, one can, but all 4 can't. I mean, and there's going to be draws as well. And I think you guys may think I'm wrong here. I don't know if you think, Baz, but I think even if we can get something like the form of 1-8, or if we can win them all, but I'd still say you'd be in with a bloody good shout, because I can see these other teams dropping more points as well. But as Marcus says, it's key that you can't have that 14 to 22 there. That 4-4 draws, like, that's just not going to work. That is not going to get you a league title this season. It has to be more towards that 1-8, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think even the 1-8 wouldn't. I don't think the 1-8 would be enough. Because we're 3 points off the top for already, so we can't really afford to drop another 4 points in 8 games. That's the problem. It's we're not tied neck and neck. So with that game, we have to claim a game, and we can do that against Hearts, obviously, because we go to Tynecastle. We can restrict that one. That's a game that's in our hands. What games are not in our hands is who Hearts plays in the remaining 7 games. We can't do nothing about that, and it becomes scenarios here, William, with them across the city to play them. Who do you want to win? Motherwell is there too. They can still. I think Motherwell are probably the team that could probably dictate where this title might end up. Even at the weekend there, Motherwell played very, very well till they went to 10 men. And even at 10 men, they played well. They just came up short with certain decisions and stuff that went against them. But they played really good football at their ground. So they will make it hard for us. They'll make it hard for Hearts. So Motherwell's got a big factor in it. Personally, if I'm being totally honest with myself, I think if we want to lift an SPFL title at the end of the season, we must win the 8. I think we'll have to win the 8. I do, because when you've seen decisions win in there, this is what I said to you when I was talking about refereeing decisions. We don't get them. We don't get enough. We don't get our fair share of them. And when you look at what happened at Celtic Park on Saturday, that's why we have to win the 8 games. I think we have to win them, because we cannot rely on decisions in other areas of the league. So for me, it's an 8. It must be 8 wins. Has to be. I know there'll be twists and turns, but we're the team that's the furthest behind in the M3. We're the furthest behind Hearts and Celtic. We're behind them. So we need to make more ground up than they do, and that's the reason why I say the 8.
Yeah, I think I know, because it sounds crazy, but I'm just looking at it now thinking, I think we if we didn't win all 8 games, and we got to draw somewhere, you know, I mean, well, it's not even that yet. I will say definitely need to win the next 3 for a fact. We cannot draw any. If we want to be serious, get into the split, we have to win those 3 games. I agree with that 1,000,000%. But I'm just saying, you know, if you were to draw a park, I'm just saying somewhere. I don't know where it is or where you would get it. Or, you know, we're wanting to win them all. I still think, I just don't think, I don't see any of those other teams going out and win. But I know what Barry's saying. We're 3 points behind Hearts. But I still think that Hearts and Celtic could drop points again before we get to the split. And I think if we were to drop points somewhere, again, would be saying, there we go, we shot ourselves in the foot. We could have made ground before the split, and we haven't, you know. Someone's made a couple of said in the comments the away game to Falkirk. That scares the life out of me too. Falkirk is a good team, you know, and we've struggled there. It's going to be tough. But you have the Aberdeen game coming up here. Guys as well, and we've got Stevie Robinson, a guy that we know well from over here. He's going to have his team set up, Marcus, really well, like he does all the times. He's going to focus on defence. I think that's what he done actually against Falkirk for Aberdeen, his first game in charge. He basically went for a back 5 and went, right, let's just defend and we'll worry about where we go from there. Falkirk had most of the ball, but they defended for their lives, and he's good at structuring the team and keeping them right defensively. So it's all about winning, you know, taking the games off, maybe not looking too far ahead. But, you know, if you another win, Marcus, against Aberdeen the weekend, you know, people's maybe, you know, it puts a pressure on Celtic going away to the Dundee United, which is never an easy place to go. So, but you have to win them, don't you?
Yeah, I think it was one of the posters there, I think, made a really good point looking at the 8 games. But I think if you look at it in segments of pre-split, the 9 points, if we can achieve that, and as we've seen the last weekend, things can change, then we'll be in a really strong position to be able to go. But anything less than the 3 wins, I think it's going to be really tricky. Aberdeen will be a different proposition. He would have had another week with them. I'm still confident that we can win, but there'll be a far stronger proposition. I was quite interested to look that Lyle Cameron was on the bench and played about the last half an hour. The last game over the weekend. So I don't know whether he is available to play against us or not, or whether that clause has been put in. I wouldn't have thought so. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so. But it's interesting that he featured in the last half an hour of the game. So for him as an individual. So yeah, we've got to get these 9 points without any question.
Yeah. What about yourself, Baz? You know, we'll be there together watching it as always, but it's going to be a tricky game. It's going to be a stuffy game. It's going to be a Stephen Robinson in charge game. You know, we know what we're going to get, but we need to do the job. You know.
Yeah. Just before I mention that, I just want to give the boys there, the 5 Towns Loyal Rangers Supporters Club, we shout there. They're boys from Yorkshire. There's a whole network of these guys that travel up the Ibrox in their buses and stuff. I've seen them commenting on. They're very supportive, William, of what I run the X page, and they're very supportive of what I put up all the time, and I try to do the same back. So just want to give a shout out to the guys for tuning in, and they do them long trips, William, like the boys from Ulster do. You know, they're traveling up from Yorkshire in their buses and stuff, and fair play to the boys. So I just wanted to give them as we shout out before we go into the Stephen Robinson thing.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks. That's good. That's a same. It just shows you that we forget sometimes, Baz, don't we? We always like, we have to do this and travel over the water and get flights and boats. But there's boys from all around England. There's boys from Inverness. You know what I mean? There's quite a lot of guys doing the travel. So good shout out there, Baz, for them boys.
Absolutely. Just how ironic is we get Stephen Robinson again on Saturday? It's just, Jesus, William, he's a Lisbon man and stuff. You know, we know all about the guy. You know, what he brings to the table, and he'll have Aberdeen fired up to the hilt. You know, he will. Like, he'll bring a straw. He'll have them well set up. They'll be hard to beat. It'll be actually a very tricky game for us, to be fair, on Saturday. And what we need to do, William, is we need to do what we did against them across the city in the league game. We need to start quick. We need to get early goals against them very, very quickly. I don't want to see this 25, 30, 35 minutes sitting 0-0. Aberdeen not giving much away, us trying to break down. Teams can't do it. We need to draw them out and really go at them. I think if we do that, again, William and Marcus, this is what it comes down to. It's team selection. If he starts the same team as he did at St Mirren against Aberdeen with Gassama on the right, you're just going, oh, Jesus me, here we go again. This is going to be the same crap a day. So he needs to mix that up a wee bit. He needs to change that. He needs to get more pace. Or not. Well, Gassama has pace, but doesn't use it. We were talking about it. Might as well put Robbie Montondo on at the minute with Gassama because he offers the same. He offers the same. Nothing. They're both the same type of player. But I think if we can do that and we can get the setup right, we just need to be far more braver. I think if Connor Barnes in the midfield and we can press our midfielders higher and give that support to Nadiri if he starts and Chermiti and let the boys get into the box and load the box with opportunities. That's I think will be okay. But it all depends on how we set things up. It'll be a hard game, but it's a winnable game.
One thing I wanted to say, William, was Scott Fry quite rightly has deserved a lot of credit 6 weeks ago. And I'm not saying he should be slaughtered now, but I do think that set pieces have been a bit underwhelming, to be honest. Is that because the opposition are trying to figure things out? But then that's part of it, isn't it? You've got to be one step ahead. Is the delivery poor? I'm not sure, but we don't seem to be as potent. And obviously, there's two sides to this in defence as well. Defence is shored up pretty well, but I think we've got to really take advantage of the set pieces, similar to what we were about a month ago. I think that's an area we've really got to sharpen up on and improve as we get into the end of the season.
Well, we're sort of near that hour mark. I just want to quickly let everyone know because we have never done a midweek show apart from if it's in the morning. I think it's our first ever time. But lucky enough, for once I'm off, I'm always having to work, so it's hard for me to do the morning shows. But as I say, I found out earlier, it was like someone was like, "Oh, you can suppose you're off tomorrow for Paddy's Day," and I was going, "Is it some Paddy's Day?" Aye, as me. We do get off for that, so I was like, "Happy days." You know what? What best way to do celebrate St Paddy's Day is just sitting in the house and talking about Rangers. So that's perfect. So this will be us tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. St Paddy's Day special, having a chat about old players that played for Northern Ireland and for Rangers, Northern Irish Bears, and we'll talk about people travelling over and stuff. Marcus, he's going to tell us about the English version of it and how he celebrates and what drinks he has and stuff like that. So it'll just be something a bit of different, say, because I'm off. At 11 a.m. we'll start that and everyone can come on if you can, and maybe see if we can get a few different listeners as well, because it might be a time that suits some people, because I know a Monday at 6 is quite hard for some people as well. But yeah, so we'll do. Are you looking forward to that one, Marcus?
Definitely, yes. It's going to be very different, and I was working in the office all day anyway, so that's going to give me a nice welcome respite. I'm looking forward to it.
So, Baz, before we go, we'll get your everyone else as well if you want to fire in your predictions. For I say, me and Marcus will be chatting. I'm sure more about it will be brought up again tomorrow. But what's your predictions for the Aberdeen game, Baz? Are we going for first and foremost? Are we winning?
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely.
And what's the score?
Well, if he plays Suter at the back, we'll win 3-1. If he plays Jiga at the back, we'll win 3-0. What about that?
Ooh, I like it. Marcus, what about you, mate?
A real conservative 2-0. I'm confident with the back four now. And as I say, Danny Rowe, 11 of the 22 games are clean sheets. I don't see us scoring a multitude of goals, but I'm hoping that if we can get that set piece sorted out, maybe Big Manny will be there, and a couple of goals from him. So how about that for a prediction? So again, it is going to be a sterner test without doubt, but hopefully we get that sorted out and get an important win.
Yep, no, 100%. I think we're good. I think we should be fine. Hopefully, fingers and toes crossed. The problem for us is we're all in the position now, guys. I think where we're like, you know what, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because we've been here how many times before. So I think we're all being conservative, in the main, because we don't want to get our hopes up. But what I will say is, if you keep winning, you get, everyone goes with you. Any draws, if you draw at Ibrox on Saturday, forget about it. You know what I mean? That'll just be it. You know, that's the thing. You know, just keep winning, Rangers. That's all we can ask.
I just want to throw one in there. I actually sent Rangers a direct message, and I asked them would it be possible if Marvin Andrews could be brought into the dressing room for the last 8 games. I actually sent them a direct message. They've yet to reply. But I tagged Marvin in it, and Marvin reposted it as well. So he seems to be up for it. But I'm trying to see it. To be honest, I know we're going off shortly, but to see you'll do anything to win this title and see whatever works. And I did. I sent a direct message that says, "Get Marvin Andrews in that changing room for the last 8 games. # keep believing." You know, just you'll do. You know what I mean? Anything that works. So Marvin seems up for it. So if any Rangers are watching, get him in that changing room and get a bit of belief going.
And I'm sure whoever's running Rangers accounts are probably going, keep believing that you'll maybe get a reply someday. Good luck. You never know. Here, if Marvin's retweeted it, you never know, Baz. You never know.
Who knows?
Yeah, you never know, mate. Just quickly, so a huge thank you to all our Facebook followers, anyone that's on the Facebook. If you're not, if you're on Facebook but not following the page, get onto that page, guys, because the crack is really good and it's a really great page. We've got 36,000 followers today. We reached that. As I say, it's a massive page. A great community is on it. We're also on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on our TikToks. We're on all different. We've got 3,000 now on our TikTok. We've only sort of really started doing that because we're older Rangers dads, so we're a bit behind on the old TikTok thing, but we're pushing it as well. But everyone on Facebook especially, thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. We all really appreciate that. Also, just quickly before we leave, I'd say so much we could have talked about more, but it was great to see the Andrew Kavanagh in with the fans yesterday and shaking hands and stuff. He could have easily have hid, especially after 2 poor results against Celtic, but he didn't. He came over, he got himself in with the fans, shook hands, so that's a proper leader for me. So I think we're in good hands with Andrew Kavanagh, to be honest. But as I said, we didn't really get a chance to chat about that. And just quickly, also, Finlay Curtis, massive congratulations, young man, for getting yourself your first senior call-up for Scotland. You deserve it. Part of me wishes you were in our squad, and Baz and Marcus is the same. We wish we actually had you as an option, but maybe that means the loan system is working. Maybe that's what that means if he's getting call-ups and he's playing really, really well. So thank you, everyone who's been listening to us. I say tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., myself and Marcus. I'll see if we can get another one on. I'll ask about and see if we can get someone on with us if someone's available. And we'll be with you at 11 a.m. If you want to join us, we would love to have you. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us tonight. We've really appreciated that. Bye.